Welcome to the Take 92 podcast. My name is Sammy Warm Hands. I am your host. And today I've got my good friends and frequent tour mates, dubldragon. That's SKEPTIK and Danny G from the Bay Area, California. They've got a brand new album out called Macroforms. We got together just before the album dropped and talked all about it, reminisced on some good times, and we're going to leave you with a track from the record, so stay tuned. This is dubldragon. We're talking Macroforms. I'm just looking at Danny's shoulder. I don't know. Are we... I thought you were like setting something up over there, but I think this is just...
He doesn't have a mic stand for himself. His mic's on like a pile of clothes, and he's leaning over it.
Just like last time, remember?
Oh my God.
I have two other mic stands, but I don't have any other mic clips here. All of my recording resources are at another place.
You're an audio guy, aren't you?
And I work out of a studio, not my house.
Oh, sick burn.
Sick burn.
Man, I should have said sick burn. I've been watching a lot of 70s show lately, and I've really been enjoying every time Kelso just has to go, "What? I just enjoy a good burn."
Now I feel fully shamed for working out of this shithole.
Hey man, it's your shithole.
Batman porn store.
I'll never live up to your standards, Daniel.
You sure do, but you don't got to shame me about mine.
His Staniels.
So, I hate to disappoint.
Oh, no.
I didn't listen to the album.
Nice.
I had a customer keep me late tonight, and then I had to stop by the store, and I felt like I was about to actually shit myself.
Oh, my God.
As you know,
Classic Sam.
it's a common, classic.
No. Hey, man, I get you. I quit my other job, and then for the last 2 weeks, I've been doing deliveries for Amazon.
Oh.
And it's fucking 10-hour shifts, and they basically, like, literally, I was told I'm expected to piss in a bottle throughout the day, so that I don't have to, like... So there have been a couple days where, like, one day I delivered to a corner store, and I really needed to shit, and I was like, oh, thank God. So I delivered to them, and I was like, hey, can I use your bathroom? They really didn't want to let me, but it was like, oh, fuck, this guy just, like, delivered shit to me. All right. Destroyed that motherfucker and used every last square of toilet paper.
Dick move. He probably knew. He's like, oh, there's only like a little bit on that roll.
Oh, God.
He probably did know. But hey, man, I'd been driving a van around for like 6 or 7 hours at that point, and like...
You big daddied him.
Yeah,
Oh, it's your problem now, buddy.
That's right. But hey, you know what? I quit my job for this pod.
That's great.
No, he really did quit his job.
I was supposed to go in tomorrow at 6:45 a.m. I just said, I'm not coming in ever again.
That's admirable. I mean, from the outside, I'm sure your coworkers love you.
Oh, I don't give a fuck. It's like I said, it's working for Amazon. They could all fucking die.
But what if that happened to you and you had to pick up the slack?
They'll find someone else.
You're not the CEO. They're going to be dumping on the workers, not on the people up above.
He worked there for like a week.
Every day that I worked there, I finished my route early and then did have to pick up the slack for other people.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the way those jobs work. That's true.
Yeah, and it's very much like I made like 140 deliveries yesterday, like 250 packages, and got done early, and then they just immediately were like, yeah, you need to go do more.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, fuck this, man. I can find a better job. I interviewed for something better today, so.
Well, that's good. Anyway, so I didn't shit myself. I shit at home.
Good.
And
Congrats.
This is maybe the next phase of the Take 92 podcast. I'm not sure. But my friend Jacob, he is going to try out here as an intern for Take 92. First order of business is he's going to be editing the show.
Oh, cool.
What's up, Jake?
Because
I was just going to, because you mentioned that earlier. I was just going to say, like, oh, is he there? Is he, like, observing right now?
no, he took off before we got started. But, you know, I usually spend a good chunk of time editing the show. And because I'd be sitting here for, 3 or 4 hours or something, chopping out everybody's, and shit like that, because I really want to make it listenable and fun, even if you don't know the guests, that it's still got some pacing to it, And so I'll spend 3 or 4 hours doing that. And then I don't want to sit there for an hour or an hour and a half and then listen to it again when I'm done. And so I have never once finished editing an episode and then listened to it to make sure that I didn't fuck up anything.
Yeah.
I always post it. I always just post it. And recently on the Winston Smith episode, I made a mistake. And, and because I listen to them after they air, and that's kind of me hearing it fresh and able to judge it again. And usually I'm pretty satisfied with it. But that one, I made a mistake, and I heard it, and I went, fuck, I feel like I need somebody else. Because if he can do an edit, and then I can just do a quick run through, that'd be so much easier. Because then I'm able to actually listen to it more than just look at the fucking sound waves and chop out all the fart noises and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's such a useful thing to have an extra set of ears and hands that are able to do what you can do. You know, it's being like in a relationship that's really good, you know, and you guys help each other out. Like one person cooks the food and the other person eats it and helps clean up.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's where this is headed, is that it'll be more of a collaboration on the edit. So
that's cool, man. Big things for Take 92. I thought of this a little while ago, but had to hold it inside so I wouldn't interrupt you. But has anyone ever referred to it as the Take Number 2 podcast?
Wow. No, maybe if I were to leave and take a shit mid-interview.
Okay.
Great. Guess what you just set us up for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You set us up to bomb.
We could establish precedent here.
I wouldn't be surprised if you literally just took us into the bathroom with you at one point.
Take 9 deuce.
There you go.
Wow.
So
you know, please.
Please
no,
I'm just gonna try to start a show here. You could keep fucking around if you want.
Please no.
All right.
As I was saying, I didn't get to listen to the album, but I watched the music video you sent, and I listened to the first, I think, 4 tracks on it before you called. And man, it sounds really good. First off, I'll comment on the video. I knew right away. I was like, oh, they got Arliss. That looks really good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we were really excited about that. We've had that in the chamber for like a year and a half, and he's actually asked me like multiple times, like, "Hey, man, when are you putting that thing out? I really want people to see that." And I'm like, "Hold on,
we're waiting for the right time."
Yeah, but we're actually going to put it out tomorrow. I was going to tell Danny that, but I forgot to. So, Danny, that's going to come out tomorrow.
That's
hey,
cool,
everybody.
So by the time you hear this, it's out, and you can go look at it on the Double Dragon social medias.
Yeah, and that's for the Aleph.
You guys use weird language. I don't know dragon speak.
What did you think it was?
I didn't even try. You know, it's like
well, you know what? Danny put like some of the titles in that folder.
Are they not all the actual names?
Some of them were like misspelt or weird. So
well, I noticed that there's like track 2 or 3 is like part 1 of something, and then like track 11 is part 1 again. It doesn't say part 2 on it.
Well, track 2 is part 2, and track 11 is part 1.
Okay, well, they both say part 1, so...
Yeah, thankfully that's not the folder that we were like sending for reviews or anything. That's just the one me and Danny were sending back and forth and to Brizzo and shit.
So you just send me the shit. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't know which folder it was. They're both just called Macroform MP3s.
But yeah, man, I really liked it. I thought it was an appropriate visual. You know, you guys' tracks are sounding really, really good. I mean, just everything sounds really huge and big melody. Doing a lot of layering in the beats this time.
Lots of layering. I focused way more on using my guitar to make a melody before I would do stuff. And for the first time, I would go over a beat. Is that a cat I hear?
Yeah, I hear Tuck.
Yeah, he's at the door.
Wow, that little bastard. You better let him in.
For the first time, I would work on a beat, and then Chad would say, I like that beat. And I would go, all right, well, I'm not done working on it yet.
Too fucking bad.
And that's totally the opposite. Before, I'd be like, okay, I could arrange this out. But like, there was one of them, Marble, that took me so long. Like, I had so many guitar layers in that and so many percussive layers, and I was like, it need like a B section, like something good, like another verse that is different from the first one. I really need something. And it took me so long to finally come up with the right part. And then I actually had more planned, but decided, I think I should just make it a song. We should work on it because I could endlessly add parts but that's completely different than how we used to work, where it was just like, this is it, you like it, this is the beat, then let's go. So I wouldn't give up the sauce immediately. This time he had to work for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's probably going, I just want to write the fucking words. Like, give me a shell, give me a skeleton. Come on, man. You're like, no, it has to be finished, mixed, and mastered beat.
See, that's funny because I never knew that I was like doing that in the first place, you know?
Oh, it was on me too. I was just like, all right, cool, this is good. You're absolutely right. Thank you. I will give it to you now. But for this one, I was like, I want to take everything further.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed right away that you guys seem to be working more closely together, like on the hooks and stuff. I think that's cool because typically I feel like it would be like a unison part, or one person takes it, the other person does the verse, something like that. But on I can't remember which track this was. I thought it was cool that you guys found new ways to work your voices together. You know, like where Skep's playing it straight, Danny's coming in with the melody, and you're, I mean, basically doing stuff in unison, but you're doing it in totally different ways. I thought that plays really well.
A big part of that, too, comes from another new thing that we experienced making this project, which was we waited a long time to release it. But we had the songs, and what ended up happening is we played a lot of these songs live.
Yeah.
Which, we would release music before and then decided like, I at least me, for sure, I would say like, oh God, if only we did this on the recording, or like this song feels so different from the recording now because like we do it this way live. But we did a lot of these songs live before we finalized a lot of them. So there were some parts that for our song Pebbles, I know, Marble changed a lot for me. I would change it during the live show and then end up just doing the recording more like that. So it translates better and it feels more polished. And, when you're writing in the studio versus performing live, it changes the way things are. So us being in unison is much more like our live show. And that just translated that way onto the album.
Yeah. And I think originally we said like, oh man, if everything works out and we really have time and we could really do everything, like it'd be great to make like a bunch more songs than we actually need and, comb through them, or like actually just lay down scratch vocals for everything, knowing that we're going to come back and like redo all of them.
Yeah.
And it ended up being more the traditional approach of, oh, everything we do is just going to be like, that sounds good, that's going to be the keeper. But we ended up, because we had so much time, actually getting to do it that way and coming back and re-recording like the majority of the parts at least 2 or 3 times before we were finally satisfied with everything. So
yeah, I think that's great. Most of the stuff that I have ever put out, you are hearing the second or third recording of it.
Yeah. As
you spend time with it, get to know it, the demo, and what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and as you were saying, Danny, with the live shows, I mean, that's the most important thing, is to road test it and get those breaths right and accent these certain words. And, the beat drops are a huge thing too. I mean, like there's so many little subtle things that may not occur to you as you are mapping out the song in the first place.
Absolutely. Our song, It Doesn't Matter, which is probably one of our
hit songs.
Most well-known songs. Sure, yeah, hit songs. The recording version versus the live version, it is so different. The way the beat is arranged and produced and where the dropouts happen and the energy shifts. The live show is way more dynamic than the recording is. And it's just crazy how it just ended up being like that. Well, you've gone dark. Yeah, it's really evolved. And we really tried to take that element of our songwriting and to do it before we recorded it.
Did you take the same approach in terms of the finished product and what you're going to have packaged and sold? Because like I remember when we were on tour years ago and you had Y-Wolves delivered like the second or third day of the tour. So I mean, we're already playing shows and then the shit shows up at your house when we're headed to the release show, Have you been sitting on that stuff too? It's like, oh, we're going to do all this proper this time.
Sure.
Man, it was looking really good until a company to be unnamed fucked the process up, and now they're arriving tomorrow. So I'm going to have just enough time to send them over to Milled Pavement so that they have a few copies just on hand to sell on their website. But we will have the physicals for release day, so at least that's better this time.
That's new.
Are you doing a show this weekend?
No, we're not doing a show this weekend, but we are looking to do like a nice solid 3-day run in December.
Cool. How did the Milled Pavement thing come about, by the way? Or let people know what is Milled Pavement, and how did your relationship come to be? Obviously, we have a mutual friend there.
Yeah. Well, Milled Pavement is, pretty respectably sized, I'd say, independent operation out of the Northeast. Our friend Brzezowski really helped us get that together. We were talking to Halo for a long time about DJ Halo, that is. Got to put the proper respect on that name. Got to make sure everyone knows.
Former guest of the podcast, DJ Halo.
He doesn't suck. I'll say that much. He doesn't suck.
DJ Halo doesn't suck.
He'll say that much, too. It's on his merch.
And that's all he'll fucking say. But yeah, we were talking for a while about, what may or may not be the proper home for us. And after talking about it for a while, he just, really heavily was leaning towards Milled Pavement being the direction to go in. And, I really value Halo's advice. So, I talked to Brzezowski about it, and luckily I had just booked a tour for him earlier this year. So I was in his good graces. And
yeah.
Everything worked together. It's very much a council of indie rap elders running the show over there. So it wasn't like, just his word was enough, but it brought us to the table, and the table decided that they liked us.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think it was the tour that you booked. He came out here and actually crashed in here with me. Can't remember. I think I played that show, actually.
I think you did. You weren't sure if you were going to be able to, and then you ended up...
Oh, that's right. Because, it's been like the year of DFS, so anytime somebody asks me to do some rap shit, I've always been like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Ask me later, because that's not... I have to make sure the album is done proper. So, yeah, I think that was one of those where it was a big question mark, and then it came together last minute. But, yeah, he's a great dude.
Mm-hmm. A wonderful beard. Smells nice.
He left me a
really
very
sweet.
nice letter. He's one of those dudes, you let him stay at your place on tour, and he left me a very nice letter on the fridge when he took off in the morning, and I kept it up there because I thought that was cool. We've done that for people who've been extra nice to us, and
Absolutely.
So it was cool to be on the receiving end of one of those.
Yeah, definitely. That's
really quick shout out to everybody who lets touring artists stay at their house and
Seriously.
feed them and gives them showers and a warm place to poop.
This is a risky thing for me to say in such a venue, but I recently moved into a really comfortable new situation.
Oh God!
And a big part of that was making sure that I had enough space to put up fellow road warriors. So hoping to be repaying those kindnesses soon.
He's putting his fucking wrinkled up earplugs into my view here. Looks like a big flaccid dong. I can't give this to Jacob. This is terrible.
Hi, Jacob.
This is the most bullshit per fucking line that's going to need to be cut. Jesus Christ.
Seriously?
Well, at least you won't have to take these little I was showing him. You're going to have to cut out the and, the little... those little tiny things, but now you'll have good, 20-second cuts,
Yerp.
Shit so, son. Fuck.
That's going to be my new rap name, Shitso.
Better than sadistic or whatever it is now.
Wow.
Oh, sorry, it's the other. No, it's the other 2-syllable S word with a K that doesn't belong there.
Okay, then.
I missed you guys, man.
I miss you too.
I haven't
That
got
was
to roast you
fucking great.
motherfuckers in forever.
Jesus, like some rotisserie chickens.
Now, as when you were like, "Oh, are you guys playing a show here soon?" I was like, "Oh fuck, is it feasible for us to go play Eugene in December?" So
Nobody wants to play Eugene it's
ever.
Yeah, and like for a long time I'd be like, bum, they're not coming here. That sucks. And then now it's like, yeah, I get it.
No, yeah, I get
I'll
it.
never forget the time that we played at the WoW Hall, but we played downstairs and no one gave a fuck. And upstairs there was like a rave for 14-year-olds going on.
Well, I'll tell you why. And that is because they don't do shows downstairs at the WoW Hall. And so that's not a thing. So whatever happened was an anomaly that people were not probably prepared for.
Yeah, it was a weird situation. We weren't fucking prepared for it either.
Now, I was flipping through my Instagram today. I had kind of forgotten our last show was actually in December of last year. I was thinking it had been longer than that because, I got to crash with Danny on the DFS tour this summer. I got to run into Chadwick SKEPTIK.
Yeah.
On the Gilman show. But we had actually done that show when you were out with abilities at Level Up.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was the only time that we've ever played at Level Up.
I like that place.
Yeah, they only really do shows like once a year, maybe twice a year. They do it in the springtime for their anniversary every year. And I think just because it was Max and he had played a couple of their anniversaries and like always brought people in there that they were like, yeah, let's do a December show, sure. But yeah, that was cool. We did it in the front room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we never do that either. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
How was that whole thing? Wasn't that your second time out with abilities?
Yes, it was. Those were like, I mean, obviously the most consistently packed rooms we've ever played on tour.
Yeah, the whole thing.
That was crazy. Like Bend was the wildest one, man, because we played at, I think, the Capitol.
Yeah, I played there with Carnage. It's a cool room.
Yeah, it's awesome, and there's always tons of people there, like just off the place itself. But they're not guaranteed to like give a shit. But like as soon as Max started playing, everyone gave a shit.
They liked us too.
Yeah, I'd say maybe half to 3/4 of everyone gave a shit about us, but everyone gave a shit when that man went on.
I had an interesting experience in that room because we played on like a Monday or something, so there weren't a lot of people there, and where the stage is set up, there's seating directly across from you, like in the back.
Oh yeah.
And since it was kind of a chill vibe, everyone was sitting down at those tables back there. And so I'm up there kind of in my head while I'm doing my songs going, man, this isn't landing really well. This fucking sucks. Like no one's getting up. Like I'm going to have to cut my sing-along. Can't do my call and response. And then I start to see facial reactions from people over there. And I'm like, oh, these fuckers are listening though. And so then I start playing more like to them as opposed to just like I'm up there doing my thing. I would kind of walk to the back of the room a little bit. Still, for the most part, everyone just hung out in their seats. But then afterward, everybody came up and bought shit. I'm talking like every person in the room. That was one of those lessons to me, even after all these years. I'm going, man, this is a whack crowd. They don't give a shit. But it's like, this ain't a real show. Look around, like you're playing for fucking 8 people.
It's a lounge act.
Exactly. And so, I adjusted my temperament to fit the vibe. And in those circumstances, I actually cleaned up that night. I did great. But it kind of took me seeing a couple people reacting to lyrics before I realized, like, oh, this actually is my crowd. I just didn't see it at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just weren't responding the way you expected.
Makes me think of the weed club that we played with Sostro. Everyone was just stuck to the couches. I thought they were asleep while we were playing, and then someone came up and was like, "Hey, man, that whole set was amazing. So much energy."
With his eyes fully closed.
And once they remembered how to walk again,
I didn't think there were people higher than me.
they were there.
They do exist. Yeah, that was an
Quality
interesting show.
Eminem reference.
Actually, yeah. If you wanna rewind, that was actually kind of a fun tour moment for us because we were, I believe, actually out on the road and had a couple dates to fill, if I'm remembering this correctly. and had
I
that
believe so.
opportunity come up. Like we were booked in Denver and we had a day off like the day after, and it was like, well, we got an offer in Colorado Springs, and you're like, but you're not going to like it. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And if you familiar with me and my show at all, I'm straight edge. I don't like that I have to play in bars all the time, but that's where shows happen now. So I go there, and it bothers me, but I go there. But the show offer was for like a weed store, right? I mean, wasn't that basically the vibe?
Not
like a
even
dab
a
bar.
not even a weed store, but specifically a bar for taking dabs. So
Super weed.
yeah, so like the way that a bar serves shots, they just have bongs and they're just giving it out one hit at a time.
No beer, only shots, basically.
So
of
instead
weed.
of usually I give Danny my drink tickets or I give Ogar my drink tickets.
Yeah.
But that night, if you'll recall, everyone gave me their like free dab that the
Dab
club
weed
would have
tickets.
given us. Yeah, exactly. So at the end of the night, I got insanely high, and I will never forget the weed that they gave me was called Death Star. and I just remember giving Danny the keys to the RV and getting in and laying down and just like saying something stupid to all of you and cackling, and then all of a sudden it was noon the next day.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, well, prior to that, for me, the interesting part of the story, because I've never ever played a show like this, I basically treated it as like, there's some states if you're underage, you can like, your band can play, but you can't be in the venue unless you're on stage performing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was you.
And so that was basically how I treated the show, is that I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to just sit in the fucking RV. Because like when you're on a bar, everyone's putting stuff into their body, but it's not like going into the air. But going into this fucking like weed bar place, you walk in and you're just walking into a cloud. I went in to use the
high.
bathroom. Yeah,
Yeah.
Went in to use the bathroom, and it was just like, holy fuck. I like took a big breath in my t-shirt and walked to the bathroom,
I was gonna bring that up. I remember seeing you do that.
Yeah. And I mean,
funny.
I was like, what the, God damn it. Like, I just got to take a piss, and then you got to like wait for the bathroom to be open. So I'm like breathing in my shirt in the fucking hallway. I'm like, dude, this is lame. And then I go back out. I'm like out there for hours, and it's cold. It's Colorado in like October or something.
Cold time.
So it's cold as a motherfucker. I'm like shivering in the dark RV because you can't have the lights on without the keys on. Or I mean, you can, but you burn it out, So I was just like, yeah, let me know when Doug's playing. Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing is we carved up the set so it was like, that was Rare Form Tour, right? One of them?
Yeah.
So we had a shared set normally, but I was like, how about you do like 2/3 of the set solo, and then I'll come in the end and do a few with you. Because obviously he's loving it. That's his kind of fucking place.
Yeah.
So yeah, we even changed the set list like that day. So like, okay, you do like 6 songs and I'll come out and we'll do 4 together or something. So it was like, all right, he's starting. All right, he's on his 3rd song. Fuck, I gotta go in. Like I've never played a show like that in my life.
Yeah, I remember it definitely had to be on the road because I remember talking to Sastro just trying to figure something out, and he was like, well, I know Sam's not going to love it, but this is kind of the best I got right now. And I was like, yeah, I don't think he would generally be into that, but we might be looking at a special case here.
I was very surprised to hear you say yes.
Well, I flat said no. I did. I said no. I don't know if you remember that, Skeptic, but
I don't recall.
Yeah, I was like, no fucking way. Nope. And then like it became clear that we were not finding a better solution, and we was just going to be a day off. And so the longer it sat there, you're like, dude, I got to let him know, are we doing this or not? I think that's when we came up with the, well, what if it's an Ogar Burl set mostly? And I just wait outside. And and once we figured out like how this would be possible, because I'm like, I'm not just gonna be in that all night personally. So once we figured out a way to work around it, that's when I reluctantly caved and said, "Ah, right, let's do it."
Yeah, okay. I definitely remember that chain of events, the apprehension and the fine. It worked out okay.
Speaking of fun tour stories, when I was at Danny's this summer, I can't remember who the story was about, but you were recalling our very first tour together, and on like the first day that we're driving, I said, "Hey, so just, like a couple of ground rules."
We're not going to name him. We can't call him out.
I can't even remember who it was, but
because we're not going to say his name. He's going to know who he is.
I already know what we're going on, but let Sam finish.
And I was like, there's a couple of ground rules. We're all going to be very close to each other over the next like 3.5 weeks, so we got to be respectful. Like, don't go sleeping somewhere else. We got to chase you down. Don't be like jerking off, like when you take a shower and then I got to go in there after you, or somebody after you,
slip on it.
I just had like a couple of like basic like
etiquette,
respect the space sort of rules. Like at a show, they're like, okay, respect the space, no fighting. It's just
no stage diving.
It was just that for being in a van for 3 weeks. But Danny, didn't you tell me you told that to someone else?
I sure did tell that to somebody else. It definitely came up when we were talking with someone, and that person's response.
Danny made basically a meme, and I can't name anyone in the meme other than us, but it's like, man, the tour lessons we've learned. Sam, don't beat off in the shower. Someone else, what the hell's wrong with you? You guys don't beat off in the shower? Yet someone else, oh, I'm beating off right now.
Literally, like we took your, it was a big deal. All the people we had toured with for the first few times, and even now, but we learned a lot of things from you guys. So we were like, okay, this is it. You don't do this when you're on tour. Got it. And then years and years later, we're touring with people and finding out they're beating off the whole time.
Yo, this motherfucker beats off.
What? And here we are dying, looking at each other weird, like when we're changing.
And you know what? On that tour, we stayed at Dan's family's house, and then he told us about halfway through the tour, "Oh yeah, I've been doing that at every shower that we've had." And Dan was like, "We stayed at my dad's house. What the fuck is wrong with you?" And then we stayed at his cousin's house, and me and Dan were like, "We should just beat off all over this fucking shower."
Oh my god.
we should just send a message.
Show him who's boss.
Man, that's I get it. Like, it sucks being out there, and it's I won't say hard, but it's a difficult thing to not do.
Yeah.
When you're out there and you're alone.
Yeah, no, hey man, it's part of some people's sleeping ritual, okay?
Oh, no, straight up mine too, at home. But I just feel like that's fucking foul, especially if somebody's letting you crash at their pad, like, I don't want to be wrecking their shit.
Yeah, but you'll take a dump on the fucking in the sink.
This guy will upper decker.
Hey, I may take a lot of dumps in my life, but I've never Melissa McCarthy shit in a sink.
What the fuck is that referencing?
What? Bridesmaids.
Oh yeah, you're right. I totally remember now.
It's funny because Danny said it before. Like, him and I find like a solidarity in it. Like, there'll be times where Danny will walk up to me and put his hand on my shoulder and be like, "It's been 15 days. Only five till we're home. Then we bust.
Then we release the juggernaut."
So for me, I always like that you call it that. For me, it was always from the very first tour. Like, first tour I went on, Sarks laid it down for me. Like, yo, we all got to sleep in the same place so we don't lose any time trying to track you down the next day or whatever, And I don't remember where the jerking off came from, if that was my suggestion or his, but on that tour, we started a pact that no one would do it, and then we would see how long we made it. And I was really actually pleased with myself that I won the contest, but then I never got my trophy. So.
Oh, you got your trophy.
Well, I do kind of, because we since there was 3 of us, it was me and Evil and Sarks. We each, prior to anyone bowing out and losing, we each were like, all right, so let's go to Goodwill. We'll find a trophy that we can
What is losing?
if you have to jack off first. It's like the
Is that
Seinfeld
losing?
episode. It's like the Seinfeld episode,
Yeah, but everybody who finished won.
Sure, but if you lose the contest, the point is to abstain. So if
Kramer,
we're like, all right, so we'll get a Goodwill trophy and we'll break it off so we have just the base of it, and you can have like something, something engraved on it or something, whatever. And then we'll have somebody else buy a big dildo, and then somebody else buy some gold spray paint and to spray the dildo, and then we'd glue it onto the base, and then we would have a no jacking off statue. And we were in The Illusionists at the time when we had this song called Anti-Whack, and so we called it the Anti-Whack Trophy.
Pretty amazing.
This is where, have I never told you this is where the whole thing came from?
No.
And so all the way out in Arkansas, we have the base of the trophy we've acquired from somewhere, and we haven't got the spray paint yet. But we have a day off, and we're walking around downtown, and we see a sex shop. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go in here and get that dildo. And so I go in there, and I buy this giant dildo that is currently on my mantle and has been...
Oh, yeah. I've seen the dildo.
Seen in hilarious moments, like as my Christmas tree topper, for example.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, this is what God intended.
When the other guys got out of the competition, they lost all interest in making this trophy. And so we never got the spray paint. We never actually made the thing. I have this fucking random ass trophy of nothing from Goodwill, and I have a dildo in my living room.
It's pretty funny because that's such a statement on jacking off in general. You have a bad idea, and then you masturbate, and then you just come back and go, oh, never mind.
I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm good with just jacking off, honestly.
Fuck that trophy.
There was an old Joe Rogan stand-up where he, on one of his old CDs, he talks about how, people walking around, with like a biologically loaded gun, and you're not thinking right. He's like, there should be billboards, like public service announcements of just a dude holding a crying baby that says, jerk off first, then think about it.
Oh, I remember this joke. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty solid.
Yeah.
That's a fact of life. That goes before spending money, before going to the store.
If you bust and you still want to do whatever you were going to do, then
you want to do it.
Godspeed.
Facts of life.
Speaking of touring, we've done a few of these together now. Some people may or may not know this. If you've got an email from a guy named Chad when I'm booking a tour, that is Skeptic right here. He's my booking agent. It seems like it's been an asset to you and to Double Dragon to have this place of employment that, like when we met, for example, you were like, hey, I work for this booking agency. We need someone to go out with us who's been out on tour before. Would you want to do it? I'm like, oh, yes, of course I would. I've wanted to work with those guys, so it linked us together.
Yeah, it worked so perfectly.
And there's been other opportunities, right, where you're talking to somebody and they're like, oh, man, I want to hit this market or whatever. And you're like, well, do you want to take us?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, that's how everything with Abilities shook out. That's how going on tour with Dope Knife came together. And that was cool, too, because at one point we were talking about doing a whole From Here to the Midwest run, and then just a lot of things didn't come together, but we had a Minneapolis show booked at Honey through CMJ. And when I broke the news to him, oh, yeah, man, I think it's just a bad time frame. This is really the only show we have confirmed. He was like, fuck it. I'll fly everybody out. Let's do the show.
That's great.
So, yeah, that was cool. That was
a wonderful experience.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Chad's talent and skills and resources in this field have been wonderful, and I praise him constantly. Maybe not to his face, but he should know that I love him. But seriously, the opportunities that we've gotten and the things that he has done by booking for other artists as well as us has put us in some good situations, and it's really game changing for him to be able to just pull this out of nowhere. I mean, from being like, hey, yeah, we're gonna go on a tour and I'm gonna get us some shows, and then like, yeah, so we're gonna open up for this artist, and then we're gonna like fly out to this place and do a show, or like this big person is gonna take us on tour, and then like we're gonna stay at hotels. Like, what? How did we get here?
Yeah.
How did we do this? I know so many people who've been doing this for much longer than me, and they're like, can't even book shows outside of their own city.
Yeah, it's fucking hard.
Playing with Grayskull and
I couldn't do
abilities. Yeah, I know, man. It was Grayskull, fucking Smoke was on the bill, Divide was on the bill, Guns Gods Ghosts was on the bill.
Awesome lineup.
Yeah. So just hanging out behind the venue with Grayskull and abilities, and just like JFK is just like relentlessly making fun of Graves, you know. And
he's so funny.
Dude, he is fucking hilarious. But just sitting there and like every now and then like stepping back out of myself and being like, holy fuck, I'm standing here right now, and like I'm a part of this moment. Like, I'm not just some dickhead standing here. Like, this is fucking validation, the highest level.
Hell yeah.
Do you ever think about, like, I've had a couple experiences recently where I look back and I'm trying to figure out, okay, I'll come forth with it, because this is super nerdy, but this weekend I'm flying to Texas to go to a Comic-Con.
Nice.
To meet Michael Keaton, right?
Fuck
Yo,
yeah.
that's awesome.
And
a Batman. Tell him why you like him.
And so, who's he again? And so,
he's the Vulture.
So yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
for the last like week, I'm going, okay, this is coming up. I got to figure out, like, what am I gonna say to this person? You have this minute or 2 minute window of an autograph signing or whatever. Like, what do I say to this person? And I went to one of these in Portland recently, and I met Weird Al.
What the
Yeah, I saw those
And,
pictures.
Like, the night before I meet Weird Al, I'm trying to figure out, like, what do I say to this dude? I don't even know. Like, I've listened to him since I was a kid. His shit's funny. I don't know. Like, what do you say? And then it occurred to me that when I was in, like, 5th grade, I had gotten out of, like, my dad's music, the country music I was listening to, and I didn't know what I wanted. Music wasn't doing anything for me. You know, I'd listen to soundtracks and mixtures of random shit. And then I heard Bad Hair Day, and that led me to Coolio, and that led me to alternative radio, and then I got into punk rock. And so, like, it was a very, like, vulnerable, susceptible time that became my gateway to all this other shit, you know? And so
Weird Al in 5th grade?
Yeah, and so it seemed crazy to think about, but, like, that was actually very significant for me. And so that's what I told him. I said, hey, you know, I just kind of put this together, but, you know, that album really was a gateway to me, you know, getting into punk rock and hip hop and all these other things that, you know, I said I've been putting out albums ever since. And he's like, wow, that's, like, I'm so glad you told me that story. Like, I'm glad to have been part of that or something, you know, and so I'm thinking about, what do I say to Michael Keaton or whatever? And like, what, you know, you don't want to just say same thing about, oh, like, love Batman. Everyone there loves Batman, you know. I'm like, oh, fucking Spotlight was awesome, you know, whatever. What do you say? And then I realized that I wouldn't have even met you guys or so many of my friends without that first Batman movie, because that was the genesis for me starting The Illusionist. Me and Gabe, we worked together. You know, we had done like one song on my joke rap album, and I was already over it. And he had like a Batman tattoo, and I said, yo, have you ever sampled a Danny Elfman soundtrack? He's like, no, man, I've always dreamt of doing that. And so I brought it to him. I said, here you go, the next day. And he made a beat, and he brought it to me, and he's like, hey, do you want to rap on this? And we started a group. So without The Illusionist, I would have never met E&A. I would have never revived my music career. I would have never done any of these things and met all of these people that we're talking about today. So it's so fucking weird to think about how, in retrospect, there's these little butterfly effect moments that just set everything in motion. You know, like when you're standing, you know, in the green room or whatever with Grayskull and abilities, and you're pinching yourself going like, wow, how did this happen? Like, can you ever trace that back and think like, oh man, it was so serendipitous, this random interaction here that we had, or this one show that we did, or even what brought you guys together as your friendship? Like, I don't know, the older I get, the more I'm really interested in those moments and how everything
Origin stories
came to be. Well, yeah, but like on a human level, and not necessarily like the whole thing, but if you can, just the fact that I've realized back to back these little tiny moments that like, oh, that actually had a lot to do with where things headed. You know, like I remember being on tour with you guys, and we stayed at Kathy Avrill's house in St. Paul, and I can't remember. I think she made dinner for us, and we hung out there for the afternoon. You know, and I remember you guys were like, damn, like this is real life, you know, and that was how I felt the first time I went there. You know, I was like, holy shit, you know, we're chilling in Ideas childhood home, like. This is crazy. It made me think back of like, wow, if I hadn't begged that venue to let us open the show for E&A, you know, like I'd never be sitting in this house, you know, like I'm just going off script here. Do you guys have any moments like that you feel like in your career or in your lives, just even as friends, that was a big catalyst or a jump off for, you know, these cool things that you guys get to do now?
Mine is short. Can I go first? When I first met Chad, we talked about this on multiple places. We were at a party. We played a show with our own bands, whatever. We started working together. But when we really, really started working together, I remember a mutual friend who we don't talk to anymore had said that, like, oh, yeah, Danny, he always says, like, yes all the time. But I guess I might have, and I was really about everything that I said I was going to be about, which I am now. But a big part of it is, like, I saw results with a lot of things with Chad, and it just made sense, and something about him made me say yes. It wasn't just like I said no all the time, fuck everybody, like, for sure, but something about him and his drive that I saw going with mine, even if it was just a tiny thing at the time, like, you know, taking that leap of like, am I really about to fucking make music with this guy? Am I really gonna like sit in an RV with this guy and all these dudes? But I just kept saying yes because it just was like something like deep inside was like, do it. It's gonna be great. I don't mean this in the bad way that I normally do. I don't know if you know, but like, you know, it wasn't sarcastic, and it turned out great every time. And so I just kept doing it. I don't know. It was like I got a great return of investment on saying yes to this man most of the time. And it's just, saying yes took me on a plane ride to go visit my family and play a show in Minnesota. Saying yes took me to Canada. Saying yes got me endless amounts of friends and support and love and experience and into a scene.
Just over 100 shows on the road at this point.
Just because I didn't say no.
It sounds like that Jim Carrey movie, Yes Man, at this point.
Pretty much, yeah. Yes, Chad.
It's always interesting. Like, I'm not really the kind of person who like warms up to people. Like, like either, you know, like right when we meet, there's just something in certain people, like in both of you, that I just feel like magnetism on like a personality level of just like, yo, everything makes sense. This person understands me. I understand them. We're on the same level. Like, let's just go. And like, I felt that immediately with Danny. And once we, like, when we very, very first, like, played a show together in Eugene, I don't think we even, like, really spoke. So that doesn't even, like, really fucking count. But once we started, like, working together on the tour and everything, like that, everything just started coming together. Like we started cracking jokes and shit like pretty early into the process, and things started to just like gel and everything.
And I think also just in terms of booking, because we were one of those rare situations where we entered a tour together without really knowing each other. I mean, like you said, I have very little memory of that first show we played together. And I think that it reveals a lot of character going through the booking process. You know, I've been that guy, like when I booked the tours for The Illusionists, I booked the one with Christoph Crane as the headliner, and then I booked the one with Carnage as the headliner, and both of those were people that I sort of knew. We had played a couple shows, maybe done a collab song via email or something, but in working together on, like, I'm doing the booking and then we're calling each other on the phone to talk about the details and whatever, I feel like that lead into a tour is also really helpful in just establishing, like, who
someone's going to be.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that all of those experiences worked out well for me, even if you think about on paper, like, there have been several times that I've gone out on tour with people I hardly know, in all honesty, and pretty much everyone walked away as friends because that's such a intense process leading up to it. And if you can both handle it well and everyone's on top of their job, whatever their role is, then it's cool, and like speaking of roles, like the way that we tour together is the most efficient out of anybody I've ever worked with. Cause it's like, Danny sets up everyone's shit and does the sound check. Chad's already got the dates booked and he knows the times or whatever. If I'm not driving, I'm setting up the merch and running that sort of thing or whatever. And it's just such a well-oiled machine. Everyone knows their place and there's no conversation about it. It just gets done and then we can hang out and enjoy the night. Like it's been great. Just we fell into that naturally. There was no like, okay, now everybody needs to fucking, it was very much just like, as we got to know each other, it was like, ooh, his strength is over here. My strength is over there, and I think that really probably helped our bond just as friends, that no one had to stress out about, oh, this person's not pulling their weight in, whatever category, I think that was really just the easiest thing was, coming together and working with you guys the first time. I mean, after that, it was terrible. I don't like you guys in general, but I mean, that first time it was very easy.
It's such a good first time.
It's just very symbiotic, and it's nice when things work out that way, and just like being in a group of, at the very least, like-minded individuals that are, share the same goal. We want to go. We want everything to run smoothly. We want to make sure everyone's sound is good. Like it's important that we have the details, know who to talk to, and all that kind of shit. So it's good when everyone's on the same level. And obviously, we do want to have a good time, but I've been very deliberate in not really touring with anybody that I would be worried about, them falling victim to prioritizing that good time over getting shit done.
Fuck those people.
So thankfully, we've done a good job with all that.
I like touring with married people on that note. Or people who are in a relationship who I don't have to worry about disappearing on me.
Yeah, it actually is pretty great when everybody's accounted for, and then it's just like,
you don't end up watching a movie in an RV at a trailer park.
We don't end up having to worry about a runner.
Yeah, it's great. That is a great story to tell.
Well, so many of these stories and many more will be in my next book out in 2020, which I won't reveal the name of yet.
He told me that's going to be the book.
I asked special permission from certain people of could I tell their most embarrassing stories, and for the most part I got the green light. Or sometimes I think in our situation, Chad, I think we traded. I think it was like, well, if you don't tell this one, you can tell that one. I was like, all right, cool.
And you're going to name drop me, huh?
Oh yeah, it's all in there.
Okay, I figured as much. I wasn't going to tell you not to. I just was wondering. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like a day in the life sort of thing. It's very much like, it's in our tour chapter. There's no getting around it, But there's definitely going to be some fun ones in there.
You know what though? I just real quick before we totally lose track, I just wanted to go back and answer your question about butterfly effect moments.
Yes, please.
I would say the biggest one for me is one time, it was actually the kickoff show of our first tour as Double Dragon, the skate shop in Livermore, and Pauly Rhymes' band Soulganics played. And meeting Pauly Rhyme was probably the biggest opening up of the world of hip hop to me. And it's funny because I would have never like really thought that. Like, you know, I put Paul on that show, put Soulganics on that show rather, and we thought that they were awesome, and we continued to work with them. And Paul was always like a really, you know, personable and nice and great guy. And I mean, I had talked to Tony before because we had booked Blueprint. And one day Tony just called me and said that, you know, hey man, I've been talking to Pauly Rhyme and he thinks that you'd be a really good fit, and I'm looking for a new booking agent. And that's how all that came together with DTR.
Nice.
And
that's great.
Paul recorded a whole EP produced by Print with Danny, just based off the strength of mine and his relationship.
Nice.
And put me on a track produced by Print with Print. And that's still like, you know,
That's a good verse.
Have I heard that song?
I'm not sure if you have. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
That's like one of my craziest, best verses ever, because I was like, fuck, man, Blueprint's going to hear this.
Yeah.
And Paul actually told me Print wasn't supposed to be on the song. And then when Paul heard my verse, he sent it to Print, and then Print decided he wanted to be on the song too.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
I like working with him because he's very like, for example, when we did Manufacture Disbelief on my Bears Repeating album, we had already done, I think, one song together at that point, and I was like, I don't know, I think this would be a good fit. What do you think? He's like, yeah, I'm in. I like the concept. I'll check it out. And I sent it to him, and he wrote it and recorded it the same day. And he wrote me back. He's like, man, I was honestly supposed to work on like 2 other people's projects first. He's like, but I heard that and it just got the juices flowing. I had to jump on it. And I was like, yes. Like, I love that because like we're the same kind of artist, you know? It's like when you get the inspiration, you just drop everything and you take it, you know? And it sounds like that's the exact same experience that you guys had of like, oh yeah, I don't know. And then he listens to what you did and goes, oh fuck yeah, I know what I can add to this song.
Yeah.
To bring it to the next level. And I really like that about him.
Yeah, very much an artist.
Yeah, you know, the writer's writer, you know, like part of features
Cubicles
for me.
Cubicles is just fucking crazy. Like,
oh, thank you, man.
Just
that's
top to bottom.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how that song turned out. And that was an accident because I sent it to him. I had recorded all of my parts
you accidentally sent it to him. That's like a dick pic getting accidentally sent.
Yeah.
Sam.
Didn't mean to.
Oh, oops, my thumb slipped. Anyway, you think you got a 16?
No, I had demoed it, but I only had the one verse and the chorus. And before I put too much time into it, I was kind of on the fence as to like, I think this is cool, but like maybe this is super corny. And I didn't really know like who to ask who would be close enough to the source material, you know? Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, I'll send it to Print because, you know, he knows my style and he was featured on that album on Firstborn. I was like, he'll get the homage. And so I sent it to him. I said, well, will you just tell me if this is like corny or not? Because I think it's cool. And he replied like, oh, this is great. Like, do you want me to jump on this? And I was like, do I? And so and so that's how that happened. Because I was going to write another verse for it if it was worth pursuing. But
Sam, you really did hit him with the haha JK unless
that was for someone else.
Yeah.
Or you.
Oops.
No, really, I just wanted it. Like, it was one of those moments where I just thought, this guy will tell me if this sucks or not. He's not like, we're not like friends. We're acquaintances, you know. And
Sorry, I'm still thinking about this in the context of dick pics.
it's not a. Yo, is this a good angle?
Does it look like a Pringles can?
Is this flattering?
Oh man.
Or should I flatten it?
Oh my God. Wow. So I had a train of thought, but there it goes in the Pringles can.
Sorry, you said you and Printer acquaintances. He doesn't owe you telling you that it's good. Like,
yeah,
congratulations.
Exactly. Yeah, it wouldn't be a loaded answer, you know. And sometimes, like with figures of speech, that whole record, I don't know about you guys, but when I felt like it was pretty much finished, I gave it to Ogar Burl. And I was like, all right, I think this is my best shit, but like, tell me where it sucks, you know? Like, do you guys have any sort of like person you bounce stuff off, like a focus group, or is that just between you two?
Yeah, I definitely have a focus group, and I have some people who I can't show anything to. I have sort of all over the place. My girl, I love her to death, but I can't show her anything if it's in the early stages of something. It's sort of like I was watching a show recently, and it was like a writer, and they had said, I'm just not really ready for feedback yet. And sometimes when you're creating things, you sort of need to just be like left alone and just, fucking the pants come off and you're just running a marathon and nobody's there to stop you. Horrible analogy, I know. But I need that a lot. And she often will come in the early stages and say something to me, and then my whole train of thought is just completely fucked. And I just am like, what am I even doing anymore? So she's a person I don't bounce things off of early on, but I do have my band Full Moon Freaks. I pretty much, anytime I make anything, or when this album was being close to finish, I sent it to them right away and said, guys, what do you want? And they, gave me this huge, one of them gives me a whole, which I know he's honest about it too. He says, I really liked it. I think there's some songs where you guys could have done something different, and some songs where I wasn't really sure about the direction, but it made sense in the end. And I'm like, wow, that's a fucking fantastic review. Like, that's great coming from you. And another guy who broke down every single individual song and told me every single part that he liked, part that took him by surprise. And
is that Joel? Did you give it to Joel?
We did give it to Joel.
Joel actually put the track list together.
Yeah, that was actually him.
Okay. Well, I got it fucking an hour before we talked, so thanks.
We sent it to you before that.
What? No, you didn't.
I sent it to you at 2:00 today.
No.
But I was at work though. I couldn't download it, so that's what I meant. Yeah.
No, we sent you the album. I swore like a long time ago to listen to it.
No way.
We must have.
Yeah, we had like a Google Drive folder that was shared.
And it had, unless you added that today, your name is in it before somebody else's name.
I guess I'm fucking up then.
It's okay. You're very busy over here doing several projects and podcasts and bands.
I'm not
and
doing
rap
shit.
You got an intern. You're not doing shit. You have an intern. I don't have an intern.
Fair enough.
We bounced it off Halo too. We had Halo give it a couple listens as it was going on.
Fuck, if you asked me for feedback and I did not deliver, that's like...
Hey,
there's
man,
no fucking way that you were like, yo, can you give me your thoughts on this? And I was just like, yeah, sure, and then didn't do it. There's
You're
no
probably
fucking...
on tour or something, but you're definitely in here as a contributor.
Oh,
hey,
you
man,
son of a bitch.
Human beings make mistakes. Whatever.
That's okay. You're making it right.
Fuck.
I mean, you're named after the phenomena of pissing on your palms, so I mean...
Palm pisser.
Is that
Paul
really,
the palm pisser.
Is that really like an epidemic, though?
Sure, for you.
I mean, it happened. It happened once. It's a phenomena.
All right. Fair enough.
Happened one time. Do it in the shower every day to relive that moment.
Yeah, I take cold showers so I can feel the warm pee. So... what else can we say about the record? Release date is this Friday, the 1st?
Yeah,
is that right?
November
Friday
1st.
the 1st.
Cool. So if you're listening to this show, that's in the past. You need to go get this fucking album. It's called Macroforms.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What's the genesis of the title?
Skep, go. I choose you.
So
Make a Pokemon sound.
I believe it's Mona Lisa Overdrive by William Gibson. It's a cyberpunk book, and there's a character who's obsessed with figuring out what the shape of the universe is, and he calls that a macroform. And the whole thing is basically, if the universe has a shape, then there's something outside of that containing that shape.
So it's cubicle. It's the powdered water.
Yeah. It's just the how many layers deep does reality really go? Like if you really think about things on a metaphysical level, you're just gonna mind fuck yourself into oblivion. There's so many thought traps you can fall into.
You could have just called it mind fuck to oblivion.
I could have, but I'm just not that guy, man.
We're PG-13 here.
Oh, okay.
We try to be artsy. The cover art is by my cousin's husband. His name is E.B. Tolbert. He has a company called Nemesis Comics. So
nice.
I just wanted to make sure to big him/them up because it's some great art, and been a fan of his shit since I was like 17. And
awesome.
He was trying to work for DC at the time, and he showed me his books, and he was like, yeah, like if you want to draw for DC or Marvel, you just kind of got to show them like you can do their guy doing things. So here's 15 pages of Batman just stalking a guy around a graveyard and hiding on gargoyles and shit, just kind of showing that I could draw Batman doing Batman stuff. And I just remember thinking that was like such an awesome inside scoop. And yeah,
this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. So it was cool to be like, hey, we got a while before this comes out. Like, I'm not really going to be rushing you by any means. You wanna take a shot at this?
I love it.
Badass, man. That's really cool that after all that time, falling in love with somebody's work at the age of 17 to getting them on your album at the age of 18, as you now are.
That's right. You can tell by my voice that I am but a wee lad.
I don't know why. I always just like, you guys are like my little brothers, Like I always say like young dragon or some shit like that.
Halo is our rap dad. Are you our rap big bro?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I've been demoted because you used to call me that too.
Well,
it's been a while.
It's about what we all feel comfortable with. If you see yourself as a big brother, a lot of people see their big brother as a father figure in some lights. I think it fits.
We could be a couple of hollyhocks with a bunch of dads.
Now we're just really overthinking this, but
it's a BoJack Horseman reference.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I only watch cartoons if it's got Batman in it. So. Yeah,
I guess Family Guy has had Batman a couple times, so you're safe.
Nice. I had nothing to say to that.
It has Adam West constantly at the very least, so like
yes.
you can't really.
There you go.
Fucking Adam West.
On rare occasion, perhaps, if it's like, oh shit, they just added a new season of this. I am way, way behind.
Yeah, it's good. Like throw it on in the background while I'm sending emails. Like I can't just not have any sound or anything going on, and it's definitely easier to just have TV that I could totally ignore as opposed to like music that I'm probably going to pay too much attention to. So look up, watch what Quagmire just did, laugh, go back to sending emails like a drone.
That's why it takes you so fucking long, huh?
Fucking big oops.
That's why I'm able to shoot out like fucking. Sometimes, man, I really get into the groove. I'll shoot out like 150, 200 emails in one big session. Like, I'll watch like half a season, 3/4 of a season of fucking Family Guy in one shot and just sit in one place and just blast out fucking like 10 cities worth of just every single venue, every single nook and cranny I can think of.
I really appreciate that, man. Like, we saw each other a lot more when we were touring together, obviously.
Yeah.
And even as I've slowed down, because I know at one point, like, I think the first year I was with DTR, you were like, dude, you are like our most active working artist. Like, this has been great,
Yeah.
And then as I got more and more in debt from touring, I had to pull back quite a bit. But, even with this DFS tour this summer, I know how much work that you did put into it, and I always appreciated having you in my corner because it was something that I had wanted and fought for so long, to have another person on my team, to take the lead on that, so I could be creative, So that's just, it's been awesome having you.
Thank you.
You're like, sincere, positive. What the fuck do I do with this?
Yeah, how do I internalize this? My childhood didn't prepare me for this.
Well,
I knew it was coming.
I figured, in a public setting that I would just shout you out for being the shit, because if you've seen me on tour at all in the last, few years.
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been largely because of your work, so that's not nothing.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, there have been times in the past where you've had to crack the whip on me, and
I would never.
I've been grateful for it, because sometimes it's just a little difficult when you find yourself in a situation where you can't break through in a certain city and you don't really know what to do, and it kind of creates an anxiety black hole. So in those times, it was helpful to have you being like, no, man, you need to fucking do this. and I think that's helped me become, as good at, like I said, just, blasting out every fucking nook and cranny. Like now I just do that on the front end. The very first thing that I do is just blanket email every single place that I can find. And then I start looking at specifics, and if things start coming back, off of that, and I'll start collecting the early door deals if we want to just go straight with the venue and hope something better, comes together.
Yeah, and then instead of looking for a contingency, you're able to weigh the different offers and see what's the best thing, that you can get. Which, as long as you're not leaving anybody hanging, can be a really useful thing. I mean, because we're talking DIY tours, if people are listening and they don't have the experience. I mean, it's rough. Sometimes it's really hard. So there are places that offer you shit. There are places that don't offer you anything. There are places that don't write back. And there are places who say no. So occasionally you'll get a place that actually has a great indie rap promoter, and then you don't have to deal with any of that shit. But so often it's just a crapshoot, and you have to cast a wide net instead of going like, well, we hit up our usual spots, haven't heard anything yet. Like you said, it's smart. Just blast everything up front, go as wide as you can, and go, all right, what do we want to choose from now? Now we have options.
Yeah. And I took that approach with the DFS tour.
For sure.
It just sometimes it's just no matter what you do, just the cards, things aren't coming together. Things
we had good
aligning,
press on that one and everything, but they just something about the timing didn't.
Yeah, but
work
I'm
great.
still happy with what we got, which I think was like 7 shows in 10 days. I think.
No, we actually filled the gaps. So we actually had. The first day was travel, and then we did 9 consecutive shows. So we actually pulled it off.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just tough to get all of those shows together, and like really at the end was when everything came together. But there was a good minute there where I was like, "Fuck, man, I don't want you to have to, not play 3 of these nights." But like,
yeah, we were panicked,
bashing my head against the wall here.
We were panicked, but we didn't stop working, and that's what counts.
I gotta say it's a very specific type of anxiety that I get when someone pops up in my inbox and is like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man? I've heard great stuff from so and so. I'm trying to do 17 dates in a couple months. What can you do for me?"
Shit. Yeah. So my phone is steadily dying. Before we wrap, I wanted to also shout out Danny. We talked a little bit. You've been, first of all, at a new studio for some time now, and working at the Fillmore out there in San Francisco. All that shit's exciting to me. Proud of you. Killing it.
Thank you.
You said you're part of the union out there? How does that work?
Yeah, I'm part of Local 16, which is a branch of the IATSE, the International Association of Stage and Theatrical Employees. So basically, I went to like a quick. I sort of cheated my way into the system. Don't tell nobody.
Yeah, we won't post this.
I got him in there.
He helped me, and his stepdad was just like, "Show up, bring in a resume, and tell him that it wouldn't work online." So I did it and just dropped it into a pile. And then they started calling me, and I started getting gigs, and then I going from venue to venue and finding place to place, I ended up at the Fillmore where I do load in, load out, and I run sound in the poster room upstairs pretty often, and then I get, cool perks like comps for shows or drinks and delicious dinner. I get to meet bands and help them set up, and also get lots of experience for what high budget live shows are like, which is pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's an interesting system. I like it a lot.
And how's the new studio? Where can people find you if they want to get some good mixes done?
Just contact me on any social media platform these days. I don't really have a new page to promote the new business because I'm sort of just like a
freelancer.
I'm just freelancing right now, so I am the business. But the new studio where I work at, a million times better than the Audio Lodge, which I loved. I love that place, and it was hard to get used to this new place just because it was different, and I was going through a bunch of weird stuff. But I have all the gear that I have plugins of, which is fucking crazy. Like,
that's great.
An LA2A, an 1176, the CL1B, all these Neve and API preamps that I've like read about in these legendary rock books or like documentaries. I just have them, and I can touch them all the time.
Touch them for me.
I will. I'll send you a picture.
Can I just say the wildest thing to me? I've actually only been to the studio once. We haven't even recorded anything there yet, but future projects will be. So very excited about that. But the one time that I went there, I was fucking blown away by the fact that this building used to be a company called McCune, and that's where my stepdad was working when he met my mom.
Oh, crazy.
It's just so strange. Such a weird turnaround. Like, I guess it's almost like one of those butterfly effect moments. Because actually, now that I think about it, bringing it back, like,
bring it back.
My stepdad is so integral to why my music taste is the way that it is. At like 6 or 7 years old, I met him, and he's like, "Hey, check this out. It's a movie called The Wall." Like,
nice.
he just put me on to a lot of like really strange and out there shit for like a child to be listening to, and it really like,
what up, Mike?
He really helped, form like my taste and everything. So it's really interesting in that this weird roundabout like return to the Genesis has occurred.
He's a good guy.
That's great. That kind of reminds me of how the house that I'm in, I rented and later my family bought from an acquaintance I knew from work, but turned out to be, this is where Gradient grew up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea that was his dad. He was just my brother's friend in school, And then years later, we recorded the Gradient album here in his childhood home. It's kind of strange how those things will come together years later.
The studio that I work at is actually like co-owned and managed by my old mentor, Chris Paxton at Nexus Audio, where I interned there for quite a few years and then branched off to do my own thing. And then I my studio where I was working down all of the people who owned all the gear decided that they weren't doing it anymore. And I just happened to be texting him like, man, I always looked up to you and I still do. And you're just so motivating for me. And I'm always trying to like catch up to you and like ride your wave of the success you're reaching with your music. And he was like, wait, tell me about yourself. And I told him, and he was like, well, I have a studio out here. How far away are you from this location? And I'm like, yeah, 8 minutes. And he's like, cool, well, come work here then. We have all kinds of gear. I'll show you how to use the location, and then we'll get you going. And so now he just came right back into my life after not talking to him for a few years and hooked me up with the tools necessary to keep my job.
That's badass.
We should have your mentor and my stepdad executive produce our next project.
Oh, shit. I have one other person who's going to help executive produce, though. But yeah, Meredith's brother-in-law.
It won't be me because apparently I won't listen to it.
Yeah, you just don't give a fuck.
You didn't listen to it today. You didn't listen to it when we sent you the invite.
Sam said, no one gives a fuck about me. I don't give a fuck about them.
And that's where I'm at in life right now. Who cares? Let's just talk. That's where I'm at. So thanks for coming and talking with me.
Hey, thanks for having us, man.
Thank you,
Miss
Sammy.
you. Really
Love
want
you,
to pile back into the Take 92 van soon.
Yeah,
that'd be
man.
fun.
Check out Macroforms, November 1st. That's in the past.
Already happened.
In the long, long ago.
Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
Do you have an enhanced CD?
Oh, yeah. When you put it in, it just shows a JPEG of my luscious ass cheeks.
And it's synchronized to the tempo of each track, too.
What, it shakes?
Opens and closes.
Oh, wow.
Winks.
Oh, my God. All right. That is our show. And I did listen to the record after the interview, and I was texting them the many things about it that I liked. I think it's their best work to date. And Danny was insisting that I mention it on the show, that I did fucking check it out. So it is very good. It's their best thing ever. Check out Macroforms. Look up Double Dragon online. They're at TOO Dragons on most social media. And we're going to leave you with a brand new track from the record. First, as always, I will say, subscribe to the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. And if you haven't heard, I got a brand new podcast, the Bat Fanatic Podcast. That's spelled Bat Fan Addict. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Bat Fanatic. And we got a new show dropping this Friday, first ever episode, the 15th. It's my bootleg of the Michael Keaton interview that I talked about going to San Antonio to see earlier on this episode. So stay tuned for the Bat Fanatic podcast. I'm going to be joined by Evil from The Illusionist, Ben Polanski from Dead Fucking Serious, and we're going to have a really good time. So subscribe to the Bat Fanatic podcast, follow us on social media, and now here is Double Dragon from the new album, Macroforms. The song is called Case.
Never once did I dream I would make it this far. I once tried to kill myself in my car, wrapped in the seatbelt. I leaned the seat back, somehow kept my life. Turns out I need that. Wasn't for another year that I learned how to rap, and that simple act put me back on track. Far from the best, much further from the worst. Gave me something to do with my time on this earth, and it birthed a whole new side of me. I found a whole lot of worth I didn't know was inside of me. Now who I am is the man that I try to be. That is when I'm not battling anxiety. It's far from a dream to be the way I am. Hard not to nip the rose in the stem. How much more will it take till the aftershocks pass? I won't take my life, instead I'll take my life back. One day I wanna look back fondly like, damn, I'm glad I didn't let me off me. Plans never go exactly how they ought to see. I am but a man and life is but an odyssey. I never let a tear drop unless it's necessary. The chemicals ingrained are a debt that I carry. I can slip at any time and I get that it's scary, but I won't let my parents watch their child be buried. So worst comes to worst, I'ma lay in bed with the covers pulled tight right above my head. But nowadays when I do, don't pretend that I'm dead. Instead I take a little break from the lies I've been fed by my own brain, my own damn chemistry. I am the reason that I'm struggling so desperately. Maybe I should seek help, outsource it medically, but I'm too afraid to change my wiring irreparably. Harshly dependent, guard all my friendships, cause without them my life would be senseless. Known to be a drag, but they still drag me around. They're the humans that support me, and I'm glad they've been found. It's far from a dream to be the way I am. Hard not to nip the rose in the stem. How much more will it take till the aftershocks pass? I won't take my life, instead I'll take my life back. One day I wanna look back fondly like, damn, I'm glad I didn't let me off me. Plans never go exactly how they ought to see. I am but a man and life is but an odyssey. Got a deep-seated drive to be alone. That's why I spend most of my time inside of my home. Don't be upset if I don't pick up the phone. I'll always call back when I'm better though. 26 years old, 26% sure that I'll live 26 more. Keep the outlook pure, 1/4 century, many happy returns. It's a madman that laughs as he burns. Flame to the candle, ash to the urn. Too much pain to handle, man must be hurt. Lest he be condemned to writhe in his hurt. Lest he believe he'd be free in the dirt. The circle is a cycle and the curve begins at birth. If it hurts, it's probably vital, is a lesson to be learned. I may talk a big game, I haven't learned shit yet, but what I do know is I prefer life to death. It's far from a dream to be the way I am. Hard not to nip the rose in the stem. How much more will it take till the aftershocks pass? I won't take my life, instead I'll take my life back. One day I wanna look back fondly like, damn, I'm glad I didn't let me off me. Plans never go exactly how they ought to see. I am but a man and life is but an odyssey.